Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Obscura Files. I'm your host, the Geminati. Hello, hello, friends. Welcome to the Obscura Files. I'm your host, the Geminati. So, why did I start this channel? Well, I started this channel because I needed to get a good grade. Just sort of kidding. Actually, I've always been interested in conspiracy theories. I've always loved a good conspiracy theory ever since I was a kid. I used to have those Time Life books. They were like black with like really cool pictures of mysteries and the unknown and the obscure and conspiracy theories. It was really cool. There was always just so much to learn. And the pictures were just so visually striking. They would talk about astral projection. They would talk about psychic abilities. They would talk about mysterious places like Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, all types of the pyramids of Giza, all types of crazy aliens. They would talk about aliens. They would talk about all these crazy, weird things that to a 10-year-old, I just thought they were so fascinating. And you know what? That 10-year-old inside of me never really grew up, folks. I love a good conspiracy theory. So let me tell you what I'm thinking will kind of be the outline of the show going forward. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be investigating conspiracy theories, and I'm going to be telling you the conspiracy theory the way you would hear it as if you were hearing it for the first time, the way maybe I was exposed to it. And we're gonna tell it like it's real. Because one of the weird things about conspiracy theories is yesterday's conspiracy theory kind of becomes the next day's fact, especially nowadays. You never really can tell who is telling the truth. And honestly, it all goes down to narratives. Whether you're just relaying a story you told that you heard from a friend, or you're trying to control the narrative in terms of like you only want certain information to get out. You only want certain people to know about something. Narratives kind of rule everything. And this is nothing new. This has been basically as long as there's been people, we've been telling stories to each other. And a lot of times, whoever has the best story is the one who gets to make the decisions. So we're going to be exploring stories. We're going to be looking at some of these things that I find interesting. Hopefully you'll find them interesting as well. And then what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and look at them from a scholarly academic perspective and think, okay, so now I heard a really great story. I'm in. What would make this true? Like, what would make this actually real? What would be some of the proofs that I would be looking for as an academic, as a scholar, to kind of go in and examine some of these things? And I'm not going in to examine these things to debunk things. I know there's plenty of debunking going on on the internet right now. Actually, this channel is partially motivated by the recent, well, at least of this recording, debate between Flint Dibble and Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock is the author of several books. Of course, I can't think of them right now. But his basic premise is that during the height of the last ice age, even though we are technically still in an ice age now because we have ice on our polar caps, right, and in high mountains, during the height of the last ice age, there was some type of advanced civilization that we haven't been told about. And Graham's kind of thing is that archaeology is very monolithic. They only hear themselves. They're not really very good at accepting new ideas. And I think there could be a lot of reasons for that. I mean, if you think about it from an archaeologist's point of view, some of these things, like, they take real money, they take real commitment. You're going in and you're excavating or you're examining artifacts, landscapes. You don't want to disturb too much of it because, really, wherever there have been humans, if you dig, you're going to find evidence of human remains. And you spend maybe, 10, 20 years, decades of your life, maybe even like your whole academic career, really like fighting for this theory. You're looking at artifacts, you're looking at things that come from the ground. And again, a narrative, you're trying to put together that story of what you think it is. And you've really thought this through. Your colleagues are all very smart people who are all exploring similar things, and you guys are all talking to each other, and you're coming together and you're trying to come up with your best guess, because of course this is a guess of what you think is going on. And then you have other people on the other side of the fence who they're not trained academics, like Graham Hancock, and you're coming in with fresh eyes. You're saying, hey, maybe have you guys thought of this? What's going on here? Why isn't anyone exploring this? We can do so much more work. And they come up with an idea like there was an advanced civilization during the height of the last ice age. And it's really something that's hard to disprove. Now, I understand the archaeologists have been looking for such a civilization and they haven't really been finding anything. But I felt like it was such a missed opportunity. I really feel like whenever scholarship speaks, and I really mean this across any discipline, one of the great things about scholarship is it's not just about learning, it's also about teaching. So when you get into a room or space, or you get within where you can hear the stories that scientists tell and that scholars tell, they're always very compelling. Now, they're not always easy to understand. My first love affair with scholarship, if you will, came from an astrophysics point of view. I wanted to, at one time in my life, be a cosmologist, be an astrophysicist. But it was really because I had an awesome, amazing teacher who told really great and compelling stories about the cosmos. And I got really into it. Now, I was terrible at math. I was always a better reader, writer. That was kind of like the jam, kind of the stuff that God gave me, whatever you want to think of it as. I kind of came pre-downloaded with loving to read and loving to write stories. It's all about stories. And just hearing those stories from a scientist's point of view from my first astronomy teacher in high school, it changed the trajectory of my life. I was like, I want to learn more about this. So I really started getting better at mathematics. I really started learning more science. And, because of that, I ended up getting a dual degree in my undergrad. I got my bachelor's in English writing, and I got my associate's in physics with a high concentration in astronomy. I took all the astronomy classes I could at the college that I went to. And so because of that, I've been able to, do things with both degrees. I've been a writer. I'm still a writer. I've been an author. I'm still an author. And I've also been an educator of science. I run a company where we teach people about science. It's super cool. You should look it up. Maybe I'll put it somewhere here if I can. I don't really know. I'm kind of figuring out this whole YouTube thing. But anyway, it was such a missed opportunity. I felt like Dibble came in already just looking to debunk Graham Hancock. And I follow other YouTube content creators who are legit archaeologists. They're legit scientists. And when they come across someone like Hancock, they can get very dismissive and borderline abusive. Like, just relax. No one is saying that archaeology is like garbage. Like, this person has an idea. It's actually a compelling idea. And because he's coming in with a fresh perspective, and he's looking at all these things, he's looking at things that he has a hard time explaining, or he's not really buying what he's heard or he's read is the mainstream archaeology point of view for these things, right? You can pick anything. You can pick the Nazca lines in Peru. You can think the pyramids in Egypt. You can think things like Stonehenge. You can think about all of these different things that we're finding in the Amazon rainforest, things that are under the ocean, right? Because we know at the height of the last ice age, a lot of that continental shelf was dry. And when we go onto these continental shelves, we do find things, things that look like they could have been man-made. And people aren't accepting the argument from scientists that, no, we think these are man-made. I'm sorry. People are not accepting the argument from scientists when they say, no, these are natural formations. They're definitely not man-made. Um, and I just felt like it was just such a missed opportunity for Flint Dibble to really go in and engage in conversation with someone who has gotten a lot of popularity and a lot of influence for his sort of fringe ideas or ideas that are not necessarily accepted in mainstream academic circles. I felt like Flint really could have shown how scholarship can serve the community and bring things up. Like one thing that they argued about was the whole thing about seeds, Flint basically brought up the fact that we don't see in the archaeological record domesticated seeds. And a domesticated seed is much bigger than a wild seed. So if, like, for instance, like grain. So a head of grain looks much, much smaller when it's not cultivated, it's out there in the wild. Then when people spend time really, I don't even really know how it works, like maybe like breeding it or like collecting the seeds that are big and hardy and kind of making the most out of the natural world, like showing that human influence on the environment. So basically Flint's point was that, look, we don't see any evidence of domesticated seed during this time. So that leads us to believe that there was no, undisclosed advanced civilization of the Ice Age, because obviously they would have had these domesticated seeds. And it was compelling. He is a scientist and he's an educator. He did a really good job of presenting his points. But instead of doing it to disprove Graham, I felt like it could have been a great opportunity for them to engage each other. Like, well, let me hear your evidence. Let me hear your reasons, Graham, why you think, okay, this is some of the reasons why scientists don't agree with that. Or this is what, like, if we were looking for an advanced civilization from the Ice Age, what do you mean by that? Because I still feel like, I do feel like a lot of the YouTubers that I've seen that have kind of like made documentaries or made their channel and they've made a series of videos about debunking Ancient Apocalypse, for instance, which is the Netflix special. They seem to like be misunderstanding a lot of like what he's saying. Like, I don't think Graham is saying that they were flying spaceships around the planet or like they were some type of crazy interdimensional species. I think he's just saying there's a missing chapter of the human story. And he's very interested in seeing if there's anything there that we can find. And it just was kind of just a real missed opportunity. I felt like they could have really like listened to each other more. And I feel like I've been in situations like this where I'm having an argument or a disagreement with somebody, and I come to a point where I realize they're just talking to me to prove me wrong. This isn't really an actual exchange. They're not really hearing me. Now, they might not necessarily even have any bad will towards me. They might actually really care about me, but they feel like they need to help me. And they're not there to listen to my side of the story or to see anything else besides what they've already decided is true. And it felt like that. And I don't want this channel to be that. I want this channel to be a real conversation, because you know what? Aliens, advanced civilizations in the Ice Age, even interdimensional travel, all types of crazy things. I'm here for it. I don't know. I don't feel like I know everything. Although if you ask my wife, she'll probably tell you that she thinks I know everything, or she thinks that I think I know everything. Let's be clear here. But is there a way for all of us to get together and just hear each other? The scientific academic community does a really good job of asking questions and really digging deeper into a subject. And in their own circles, full of either undergrads or graduate students, aka nerds like myself, they do a really good job of teaching that. But when it's outside of the echo chamber, maybe where it's people who are, well, I don't understand, or I'm still not I'm not compelled by what you just told me. there's a little bit of a disconnect. So I don't know if it's even possible. I guess we'll be finding out in this channel. But I would like to see those sides come together, because you know what? You can get really insulated when you're just talking to people that think like you. Not even people who necessarily agree with you, but people who think like you. And when you go to grad school and you become a scholar, you are definitely being taught how to think. And it is refreshing to talk to somebody who, you know, is actually interested in similar topics and similar things. And maybe they never had the ability, the inclination, or the opportunity to go to a grad school program, but they're actually also interested in things, and they're just as smart as any scholar, you know, locked away in their university. We all have the same brains. They're just thinking differently. It's such a golden opportunity to get different perspectives, because you never know where those perspectives are going to lead you. So that's what I got here. I'm looking for this channel to be a conversation between both what some people would call conspiracy theories and scholarship, because I feel like I have my feet in both worlds. I love a good conspiracy theory. I love when it makes you go, wait, wow, I never thought about that. That's weird. Or I never knew about that, you know? And then really going down that rabbit hole of, well, what do we know about this subject? What's going on? How can we talk more about this? And so that's kind of all I got. I don't know. Might delete this, might not even show this to anyone, but we'll see how we do. All right.